My attempt to silently sell you this podium was very unsuccessful. But our next speaker, who wrote a book called the book Silent Selling Textbook on Visual Merchandising, would probably be able to do a better job. Come on, y'all. Come with me on. This was a good pantomime. Anyway, this is our absolute last speaker for this evening. As I mentioned, she's the author of Silent Selling, a textbook on visual merchandising. A brand new edition is coming out. I feel like if anywhere in the whole world there was going to be like a gasp of excitement about a textbook on visual merchandising, this would be the room. In addition, she is the CEO and Chief Energetic Officer of Energetic Retail. Not only that, and this is my favorite part, she has been named literally a national design luminary, and she has the top to prove it because that is a beautiful top to have moons everywhere. So please, a really big round of applause, the biggest yet because it's our last speaker, Judy Bell, everybody. Oh, yes.
Hello. I need the table. Thank you. Have any of you read the Tiny Love Stories? They're in the New York Times every Sunday. Well, I don't miss them. And I'm going to give you a little sample from the back of this book. My mother told me that relationships are like shoes. No matter how beautiful they are or how much you love them, if they don't fit, there will be pain with every step. There's more to that story, but I'm going to shift over to my own tiny love story and tell you how I had to stretch my shoes and my legs sometimes every step of the way in my career. I grew up on a farm in southern Minnesota, and I fell in love with fashion when I was 11 years old, but I had to do all of my shopping out of a J.C. Penney catalog. So when I was 14, I thought, it's time to stretch these boundaries a little bit. And I said, Ma, I want to take the Jefferson Lines bus up to Minneapolis and go shopping. And all I need is a ride into town to the mobile gas station. I can catch that bus right there. And she said, okay. And so before you know it, I was on the bus with my best friend, Roxanne, and we were heading up to Minneapolis to this store, Dayton's. First, we walked around, looked at the windows on the outside, and I was just captivated by those. And then we went inside, and everything sparkled, and everything smelled good, too. As a matter of fact, this sweater that I have on, I bought in that very store in 1999. It's an Adrian Vittadini. I did get it on sale. Didn't have that kind of money. And I will tell you what, it still smells good. Can check that out after. Well, Dayton's and I am in the market. I'm single, so. So anyway, I wanted to take, Dayton's and I got to be friends over those years, and then I wanted to take the relationship a step further. So I enrolled in a fashion merchandising school right down the block, and 4 days after high school graduation, I moved to Minneapolis, I started school, and I got a job in that store part-time. Dayton's and I were not just in a little simple relationship anymore. Dayton's and I were going steady. So then I thought after I graduated from school, I should probably get some experience in specialty stores. So I worked in a variety of stores for 7 years in sales and management, but I could never stop thinking about those windows. That's where I wanted to be. And I couldn't get a job in Minneapolis. Nobody'd hire me because I didn't have any window dressing experience. So I had the opportunity to move to Albert Lea. And that store that you see was a Herberger's, and it had 13 windows. I counted them. And I went into that store right off the street, and I asked to see the manager. And they guided me right in, and I said to him, I see you have 13 windows, and I would like to do the displays. And I don't have experience, but if I'm not any good, I'll just quit. You don't even have to fire me. Well, I got hired on the spot. And so for the next 2 years, I developed my craft. And then I was ready to go back to Minneapolis, and I got a job at Bronze Fashions, and here are a couple of my windows from Nicollet Mall. And they were quite futuristic. You see that mannequin, there is a drone in that suitcase. Well, it was fun doing the windows, but I looked around inside the store, and we had about 100 stores, and I noticed that every one I went to, the way the product was arranged on the fixtures, it was different, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad. So I decided that I would write some guidelines, and I did that on my own time on the weekend, and I took that book into my boss, and I said, do you think we could use these guidelines in the store? And he said, that's a great idea. Then we'll have continuity. So here's what happened next. That little guidelines book, well, I wrote that into a college textbook, and that textbook opened the door for me to the retail love of my life, Target. Dayton's firstborn. I still kept it in the family. So let me show you what happened. I went there, and in about 1992, they decided to open some specialty stores called Everyday Hero, and they were at Mall of America at Knollwood Mall, and they invited me to use the design principles that were in my textbook to do all the presentation in the store. So this is Everyday Hero, and I want you to notice the rainbow color, because that's a signature thing. Anybody who knows me knows Roy G. Biv. I know people at Target are still doing their closets by Roy G. Biv. And so those are pictures from Everyday Hero, and then that's how we translated that into Target. Those are 1992 photos. So I stayed on at Target for 22 years. I had a ball. The biggest, most beautiful hearts in the world are in that company. And I'm not kidding. I love that place. And it was a dream job. But what do you do when you've been 22 years in a dream job? Well, I decided to create a new dream. So I left, and I started with my lifetime Target discount, I might add. And I started Energetic Retail, where I do master classes, and still continuing on. Here's the newest textbook. That's a Harrods window on there, 6th edition. It's coming out in May, and I added some new features this time, creative wizards and designer pet peeves and neuroscience pop-ups. And why did I add all of that into a textbook? Because I think education should be entertaining, and I wanted every one of the 425 pages in that book to be fun. Along with that, I also wrote columns for Design Retail magazine, and 3 years ago, they invited me to start judging the holiday windows in New York City. And so I did that, and these are from just November. This is Bergdorf Goodman, and as I was standing in front of these windows, judging them for creativity and execution and all, the spirit of the season, I thought, how the heck did I ever get here from that farm and that J.C. Penney catalog to be on Fifth Avenue being a judge, And then, just like that, with the next window, I had my answer. It's a little hard to read, but up there it says, you must be this tall to ride. Look at how that mannequin had to stretch her legs to ride that roller coaster. And I realized that's my story. That's what I had to do every step of the way, was just keep stretching to reach the next goal that I had. And just like in the tiny love story, I had found shoes that fit.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a
And here they are.
land that I heard.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. That was a big round of applause one more time. Oh, that's so good. All right. I apologize to the ghost of Judy Garland for doing a sponsor thank you over her song. But I do have to thank all of our great sponsors who helped make this evening possible. A big thank you to all of these companies who chipped in to make this event what it is. Really appreciate it. I also want to do a really special thank you. Our student illustrator. Did you all see? Did you get these amazing cards? Gretchen Pickering, those are amazing. Big round of applause for her. So, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being part of this. This is such a fun thing every year. Please take all of these wonderful messages and lessons that we have gotten from these 7 incredible speakers, take them with you, carry them with you over the course of this next year. Actually, you can even just take them out into the lobby here and get more hummus and then talk to all of our speakers about those things. But until then, I will say, thank you all so much for being here. I'm Tane Danger. A big thank you again to the School of Design for hosting this whole thing. Thank you all for being here. Did you have a good time? Okay, have a great rest of your evening. The bar is open. Have a great rest of your night. Speakers should come back on stage and we should take a photo. Come on, yeah.